Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Road to Real Estate podcast. I'm John. This is the lovely Lauren.
Hi, guys.
She waves for everybody that was on Spotify and YouTube. And today we're talking about farming. Does this mean we gave up on real estate? Are we buying land? Are we
We're
going
going
to
to a
have
hoedown.
crops? We're going to do a hoedown? We're going to have crops and cattle?
Yeah, working the land. Get back to our
Yeah,
roots.
that's how it is, people. Actually, farming is a way of building interest in your real estate industry, and it can be done sociographically or geographically. Is that the right word? Sociographically? Is that a
So,
word?
yeah, sociographically, I was talking about a socio group, like a group of people that are somehow connected. So,
Yeah. But before we get into it, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a follow if you're on Spotify. And Laura wants to tell us about our cooler, I think.
yeah, we got the Yeti Roadie. It's a 24 cooler, and it is our raffle. So, are you Yeti ready for summer? Because we can help.
There it is. I
Yeah,
was wondering if you were going to say Yeti ready. I was going to give it all to you. I was like, she better say Yeti ready.
yeah, I know. Well, rhyming and alliteration, that's my generational going up with Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah, but the link is down below. All you gotta do is click on it. Where you're not selling anything, you click on it, fill out the information, and you're automatically entered to win. It's that easy. Everybody should be entering to win the Yeti Ready Cooler. Rodeo Ready Yeti? No? All right.
Roadie, not rodeo. Yeah, roadie. 24.
Is this Rody? So anyways, let's get into farming. You got a few things we got to get established before we get into the topic. So let's do that.
Yeah. So, what is farming?
Well, we're
What is Jonathan's stuff? You want me to take that one, Jonathan?
I was trying to think of something clever on the fly, like farming, and trying to associate it with actual farming, and I fell apart right away. For me, I do it geographically. So for me, I have the area around the home where I live, work, and play, and I do outreach to my neighbors using different methods that I think we'll get into as further in the thing. So for me, it's the way I gather and build my database around my home.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's the best
that's
way to
what
say it.
farming is. Yeah. It's focusing your marketing to become the desired agent or the agent of choice in that area. Right.
Uh-huh.
So when you think about it, that is your goal. You want to become the expert, the agent of choice, the person that people come to when they have a real estate question or need to buy or sell real estate, or somebody wants to move into the area. Talk to Jonathan. He knows everything about our neighborhood. You want to become that voice of information and help for your neighborhood.
And I do that by being accessible. I make sure people see me walking around the neighborhood. I send flyers, I door knock, and we'll go into, like I said, each one of those little sections a little bit more detail once we get everything established. And then what is geographic farming then? Or sociographic farming. I do geographic farming.
Yeah, so sometimes geographic is associated with it, but sociographic is somehow a group of people that are connected, right? And so you might decide to work my sociographic farm is kind of a semi-geographic farm as well, because I'm doing the school system, right? The school system that my kids are in. And so that is my sociographic. It is technically geographical if you looked at the school boundaries, but not everybody actually lives in the school boundaries. And so what is actually connecting us is that we are all parents or have children somehow in the school system, and that we're raising kids there. And so it winds up being a group of people that are connected for a social reason, not just a geographical. Although
Yeah, exactly.
school kind of overlaps, but we do a lot of that sort of thing. So another idea of a sociographic might be if you sponsor a little league, right? You don't know where each of those kids actually live. Theoretically, they don't live too far, but you're doing a socio group. Anytime that if somebody marketed to their church or that's the group of people they're working with, it's kind of like your sphere, only you don't know everyone in there yet, but you're committing to it. And so it's concentrating your marketing efforts to network on a specific area or group of people.
Now, it's important to establish that when you do farming, whether it be sociographic or geographic, you're not looking for leads today. This is long-term marketing over a large period of time, so it can be a financial responsibility and a time responsibility. It's a constant reaching out, and they recommend doing it, 12 to 18 months before you could get your first actual business from it. So it's a long-term thing. It's not, if short term. It's not the same as doing something that is more direct lead, because they don't know who you are initially. And you're building that over a longer period of time through flyers, mailers, door knocks, stuff like that. So,
And as you see, like if you start looking into farming, they will tell you very specifically if you do not have 18 months of funds, the money to send out the mailers, flyers, or committing to at least 18 months of farming, then you don't need to start.
yeah.
This is a harder sell for the new agent because you have to put money behind it in order to make it work. So it's a little bit longer play, especially for a newer agent. And you want to make sure that the area works for you as well. We can go into that in a minute, but yeah, 18 to 24 months is when you expect to see results. It is something that you have to build on. It's not immediate. You might have success, but it's important to have that long.
The longer you're able to do it and the more consistent you are at doing it, the more it will bear its fruit. Farming.
Bears fruit. There you go. You got a farming bear.
I did it. I know it was a stretch, guys. All right. I'm trying.
So I think the first thing with geographic, we can start with geographic first, is choosing your area, right?
Yeah.
How did you decide to choose your area, Jonathan?
Well, I bought a house here.
What?
I know, right? So I like the area. I obviously chose to live here. We're really happy with the home that we chose. And for me personally, I've been here for going on almost 2 years now. And after 2 years of being here and then starting real estate, it's like, to me, I look at everything about it. I like the way the homes are built. I like the era the homes were built in. I like everything about it. And I think the price point isn't at the higher end or lower end. It's kind of a median price point. If you do like the median price of homes for Marietta, we are it. We're not on the low side. We're not on the high side. We hit those numbers right across the board. So I think that, to me, I look at that and go, if we are the median, we are the average, which means you get the most eyes on those homes at the same time. Most people are capable of buying in this price point. So there is turnaround in this neighborhood. Nothing wrong. We have some people that have been living here for 30 years. Like, there are a lot. When I was doing the mailers, a lot of people have been here for long term. There's also a large number of homes in this neighborhood. Like, my mail route never leaves this area, and there's over 700 homes on it. So there's room for me to start farming, and as I grow, I can extend and extend and extend my area, and it's still the same neighborhood, the same mail route, and everything else. So to me, it was just like, when I looked at everything on paper of this is this, and these are my options, and this is what I'm capable of doing, everything just seemed to check yes as a good idea to do it. I couldn't find a negative for doing this neighborhood. I even looked at the homes going for sale in the neighborhood, and it's like there's not a repeat realtor. So there's not one realtor that owns this area or has been advertising to this area for a long period of time. So it makes me, I don't want to say the first, but the only current one doing it, which increases my chances.
And Jonathan, you hit a couple really good points when somebody is picking their farm. Number one, you picked a place where you have a physical presence. You physically live there. You can pick a farm without a physical presence, but you're going to need to add one. Right. And so you obviously chose your neighborhood. You're physically there. You are a human. You're not just a bot or somebody who's sending out mailers. So that's a really important point. Number two, you talked about that there were 700 homes. And so that you can grow as you grow, but you're starting with a smaller group. That's important to know. You also talked about turnover. We also can call that the absorption rate. And so what you're looking at is how many houses are actually selling. You don't want to start farming in an area that doesn't have enough sales to support you. Some neighborhoods just have more turnover, some have less turnover. We don't need to get to the statistics of why. We just don't want you to waste your time in a neighborhood that has very few home sales.
Yeah.
So Jonathan and I looked at that, and we looked at how many homes sold versus how many homes are there, what that looks like, and how that is. And then the other thing you said was the agent. There's not one dominating agent. As a newer agent, I would caution you, or any agent, I would caution you about going into a geographic farm that has one agent with more than 50% of the market share. They're either already farming very successfully, and it'll take you a longer time to achieve your goals in that neighborhood or that area, or you're just not going to hit it at all. there may be something that they're just really connected, and you're not going to be able
Yeah,
to.
you're trying to step over someone else's bond that they've spent time and money creating. And they may also live in that neighborhood, that they see. So if you're trying to come into a neighborhood you don't even live in, and that other realtor lives there and does touch events and everything else that reaches out to people where he's actually, or they are actually connecting to the people that live in the neighborhood, it's just you're wasting valuable resources going into an area that you probably are never going to have any foothold in.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that you want to you want to get sales, and you want to become the neighborhood expert, whatever that neighborhood looks like to you, right? And so if somebody else is dominating it, you're just not going to achieve it, or achieve it as quickly, right? And you're not trying to get into a turf war. So that's really important. We're not talking about redlining or dividing up. We're not getting into fair housing violation here. We're just looking at what is the smartest investment for your time and money. And that's where, making sure there's not one dominant agent is good. If there's a lot of agents, fantastic. But we just want to make sure one agent doesn't have a significant amount of market share. So when you said that you were picking your neighborhood, you said your mail route has over 700 homes in just your tight little area. So how do you go from 700 homes to the 200-ish that you're using for farming?
I'm actually not even at 200. I'm only at 100 right now because I am a newer agent. So funds are important, and trying to calculate how I spend my money on this is very important to me. So I basically chose the routes that I walk with my dog. It's really, yeah, it's like I can handle doing 100 homes at a time. That allows me to do a door knock and everything else, and not have this crazy map of all the stuff that I have to accomplish. And I figured after I get known and get some flyers out and everything else in my 100, then after that, it's like, then we'll add on 50 at a time. And I tried to do it around closings. I figured after I close my next deal, I will extend. And then after the next deal, I'll extend. And as deals go, I'd like to do all 700, but I know that's quite a feat. I mean, just to do it monthly, just to do the mailing alone at 700 a month, that adds up really quickly.
So you've done what, 2 mailings now?
So here's the thing. Because of life events that got in the way, these go out this week. They were supposed to go out last week. So my goal is this week they go out. So this will be my second mailer. You've already seen this. I've already put it on there. Look at that guy. And I already have my third mailer picked out for this month. I have to order them here in the next day or two. But yeah, so we got kind of pushed back. I'm behind by a week right now.
Okay. So what was your first mailer? Describe that.
I wrote a letter
Aw.
to my neighborhood. Yeah, with a picture of me being crazy on it because it's kind of my personality. And I just gave like current homes for sale in the neighborhood and what their median price is and what they're going for. And just kind of a little bit of a helpful market information, as well as a little bit about me, and encourage people to reach out and ask questions,
So you chose not to do your glamour shot headshot on this letter?
Have you seen this mug? There's no such thing as a glamour shot. This is what you're stuck with. We're gonna really rely on personality for this.
So for those of you that can't see Jonathan, that are just listening, imagine like ZZ Top and a leprechaun had a baby.
A leprechaun, right? Or a little yard gnome.
Just kidding.
Beard's still kind of red. It's getting some white in here, but
Yeah, just kidding. So no, so I think that's a great, because Jonathan, you are authentic to yourself in that, and I think something that's authentic to your personality makes you more approachable, especially for people in your neighborhood. They don't, they know you, they see you walking your dog, you're not always in the buttoned up suit. So I like that was authentic to you. And then you established yourself as a neighborhood expert by putting some data and information there for them. Mm-hmm. Right. And then at the end, do you remember this? What did we put at the end? Do you remember?
We do the acronym? A MOFR.
A MOFR.
Right? See, yeah. I can learn things, people. I did it. That's called a recall to episode 3, I believe. Check it out. Look at us. We're so good at this.
Yeah. So what is a MOFR?
Leave them asking more questions for more information, basically. So you leave a thing saying for more information, give a call, or so you don't give them all the information they need on their own. You leave them wanting more. Yeah, it's essentially a hook. The letters actually stand for make offer for immediate response. And so it's not necessarily going to appeal to everyone,
But if somebody is at the point where they're ready to buy or sell, it should be enough to hook them or entice them to reach out to you. And so that's a MOFR, make offer for immediate response. And so always putting that at the end is really great. So he started off with a letter to establish himself as an expert. And then the next thing you're sending out, like you showed us a minute ago, is your postcard of Rigby. Now tell them what it says, because I think it's adorable.
It's so good. It says, "Our neighborhood is growing by 4 feet."
Cute.
Melt my soul.
Yeah. And that's their new puppy. Now I forget what kind of dog it is, but he's really
He's
cute.
an English Springer Spaniel, so he's very approachable and he's very dog friendly. There you go. Get it without glare. So it's going to be a weird angle.
Yeah, it's a really cute puppy photo just in the backyard. You could say at the golden hour. I think he has a nice golden sunset behind him. And so why that? Why that postcard? What's the point of that?
Well, because I walk him around the neighborhood, so I figured you look at that and you get it in your mail. Like, for instance, I sent out the letter. I hand wrote every letter just because I wanted it to feel like I am writing to you as a person. You know, I didn't want a bunch of stickers and stamps that just gets thrown out right away. And I even put a big crazy picture of me and the wife in front of this house showing that we're in this neighborhood. And so that way, if they open it, they're like, "Hey, what's this?" You know? And I wanted to grab their attention before they realize that I'm advertising to them. Does that make sense? So I figured you send a cute puppy photo, they're going to go, "Oh, what's this?" And they're going to flip it over and see what it's about, you know? And that was my whole thing. And then because we walk him around the neighborhood and he already knows most of the neighbor dogs because he plays with all of them. We have play dates in our fenced in backyard for him. He's a fur baby, you know? And we've had neighbor dogs come visit and hang out, and so he's very social. And so I want him to be recognizable. I'm like, "Oh, that's the dog. We just got a postcard on that dog," you know? So I'm hiding behind my dog for my business.
Are you hiding or are you building relationships, Jonathan? That sounds like relationship building to me.
Yeah. Sounds like the glass is half full for some people.
But who drank the first few sips?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
No, I think that's great, because what that is establishing you as a real person in your neighborhood, somebody that people interact with, somebody who's actually there, you know, not just a talking head. You've made yourself relatable. And, you know, I think the play dates are great because you do need to have a physical presence in your farm, whatever the farm is, and that you're building those relationships. So consistency. What is your plan for timeline for how often you're mailing?
Every month. I want, like, I know it's supposed to be a little bit longer, but my goal is I can handle every month dead on. And I mean, I say that and I'm a week behind, but I did the chat GPT and I went in, I was like, I would like to reach out to my neighborhood every month as a way of establishing and farming my neighborhood. And it gave ideas for every month. And some of them are around the holidays of what to do. And it gives information what to provide each month. And I tell you, I don't know if you guys ever heard of ChatGPT, but
what?
It's pretty genius. Especially if you're going into something and you're not sure how to approach, and having that come up with a calendar. And I'm not going to use it exactly the way it printed because some of the stuff is like, yeah, we're not doing that. But at the same time, it's like having that information, or at least a timeline pre-printed out with ideas. So if you can't think of anything on your own, you have ideas right in front of you that you can use and tap into. And I think that's really smart, because if you come up with nothing and you sit on it, you end up doing nothing. Whereas having a calendar pre-printed out with information that you want to provide. So if you can't think of anything better, fine, do that. You know what I mean? You're doing something, and at least you're doing something. And I think that's very important to continue the reach, because that's part of it. The consistency is everything.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of consistency, if we look at this year, instead of 18 months, let's just do a year to make it a little bit easier. What is your mailing schedule? Just your mailing schedule. We can talk about the other stuff you're going to do, but just mailing. What is your schedule?
So I do try to go out on the 23rd. That was my goal, is to mail on the 23rd of every month.
Why the 23rd?
Because I mailed my first one on the 23rd. It's really that.
So it's not magical. It's not that it's a prime number or anything special like that.
I think, I mean, I'm going to say this, and this is totally in retrospect, but if you mail on the 23rd, they're getting it towards the end of the month, and it's coming in at the same time as all the bills. So you get a little happiness with some of the terror.
Terror.
Yeah, no one likes bills. No one likes bills, let's be
Nobody
honest.
likes
But if you
bills.
get a cute puppy postcard at the same time, well, at least that catches your attention,
Okay, so
So,
you're going to mail once a month,
mhm.
but that's only part of what you're doing.
Yes.
What else are you doing for your database?
So now that we're getting warmer and the weather's getting better, um, we're going to start systematically door knocking. So my goal is 25 a weekend right now, which means I hit every one of the houses in my mailer every month. So if I go out on Saturday before I do an open house and knock on 25 doors every month, I would be able to touch every person in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
So what does that, so door knocking, we've talked about it in the past, but what kind of door knocking are you doing?
that's a good question, as I haven't done it yet. I mean, I've door knocked before because I do it around every open house, so I'm familiar with that. It's just I have to come up with a script still for that. So my first time door knocking will be this month because we're now in April 1st. So this will be my first time doing it. So Saturday will be my first time going out and doing the first 25 houses, and then we'll go from there. Script. I'm basically going to offer up myself as the expert of my neighborhood, I guess. I have no idea what to say
Well,
yet. I'll be honest.
I think your script for the first time that you go around is, "Hi, I'm Jonathan. It's nice to
But I'll
meet
get
you, see
nervous.
you again," or whatever that is. So just introducing yourself, I would say, would be the first one. So so for the first month you're going to door knock and see everybody, theoretically knock on every door in the first month. Are you going to knock on every door every month?
So let's look at that. I'm not sure yet. I mean, I did a class and I wrote it down. I would like to. I mean, when it's only 100, it seems easy. But as it expands, I would imagine the gaps would extend because there's no way I can knock 700 doors a month. It seems insurmountable amount. So I would imagine it would reduce. And obviously, based on the interactions between certain people, I'm going to have people tell me not to ever knock again. I'm going to have people, there's going to be stuff that's going to change the way I do it, I imagine, as I encounter
Well,
situations.
I will actually challenge that, Jonathan. I don't know that anybody's ever told me not to knock again.
Really?
I think that when you come and you have a different perspective of what you're doing, that you get a different answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think, was it last time we were recording or 2 times ago? I think at my house, there was somebody trying to sell me windows or a roof or, trying to sell something. You are not actually selling something.
Mm.
If you come to a door and you're offering value, people respond differently. At first, they may be a little standoffish, but if you're coming up and saying, "Hey, I'm your neighbor, Jonathan. I just want to say hi and meet you. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Here's my card. I also do real estate for our neighborhood specifically. But if you ever have any questions about value, how much your house is worth, if you're looking to contest your tax value, reach out to me. I'm an expert in
Yeah.
our neighborhood." That creates a different response.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, knocking the door, "Do you want to sell your house today?" That
Oh,
triggers a
that
different
was definitely what I was going to do.
so I would challenge that thinking a little bit because
Yeah, no, I
most of
get
the
it.
time, nice people encounter nice people most of the time.
Yeah. What I find is I mean, every time I knock, there's an anxiety before that first door. And then what happens is once I talk to the first person, it even happened this weekend, is like, is in this house. I was like, do I really want to knock this neighborhood? Everyone lives in the exact same house as this guy because it's a townhome. And then like the first four houses, nobody answered. And then I got a good one. And then the neighbor pulled out of the driveway and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And then after that, like I got two people. I'm like, all right, now, and then I get energized from positivity. I really do. And so as it goes, so I say 25, but if I get a bunch of good responses, I'll do more because that's just the way I'm wired. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, and how much time you have, because I mean, it does take time to walk from house to house to house. Just for the record, being at open houses, it feels a little faster. But I find that when I'm doing like true neighborhoods, some conversations are going to last longer, and some are going to be short. So I would encourage you to maybe make a goal of doing your sphere once a quarter.
Mm.
So, maybe this month you go to everybody in your 100 group. But if you add the 50 next month when you have your next closing,
Mm-hmm.
then you knock those 50 the next month.
I get you.
Right.
That makes sense.
And then as you continue, you figure out how to do it so that you knock on every door quarterly. And
Yeah.
then making sure that you are saying something of value to people. After you've introduced yourself, you don't do the same thing again.
You know, hi, I'm John.
Yeah.
So this is something I have to work. My memory recall when it comes to meeting people is atrocious. So what happens when I meet all these people, then they see me again and they're like, "Hey, John, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know who you are." I do it now, and it's bad because I've got clients that I've tattooed for literally years, and I've missed their name, and now it's too late to ask their name because I've known you for 5 years. So I've been like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going? Hey, pal, what's up, trouble? Welcome." And so I've been, now that I'm in real estate, I'm like, dude, that name retention is so important. So I'm trying to save every person in my phone as their name, what they do, all that stuff, because A, it's important information to have, and B, it's like at least to have this recall of a list of like, that's who that is. You know what I mean?
Well, and maybe you do have a physical list, right? I mean, you have a farming list. You have names and addresses. Maybe that becomes your database and you start putting in notes.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke to Marilyn today. She just got a new puppy, name Rigby, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's where you start to build the database in a larger,
Mm-hmm.
more efficient way so that when you go to door knock next time, you can go, okay, who did I talk to? I'm going to this street. Who did I talk to? And you can bring those people up in your database and see
Yeah,
who you,
little refresher.
yeah, a cheat sheet, if you will. Because once you start to get to know the people, hopefully you'll have a little bit better recall. But in the meantime, I think you and I both grew up with fathers as preachers, right?
No.
I would call it a preacher or a politician handshake and smile and the hey buddy and the, because you never, in those positions, you can never not know people. You have to know everybody, right? And
Yeah,
so
of
I think
course.
that a little bit of fake it till you make it is okay. So we talked about mailers. We talked about door knocking. How else are you going to have a presence in your farming area?
So I know they tell you to do an event in some way to involve your community, and I haven't figured that piece out yet because I mean, our neighborhood doesn't have like a center to be congregate. We don't have like a pool for our thing or thing like any way to congregate to get everyone together. So the big event I would like to do is I've noticed there are lots of kids in this neighborhood used to like we're in between phases, so there were tons of kids. Those kids grew up, and like I talked to the neighbors that are in their 20s now, and they're like, we used to do this, we used to do the block party, and we used to do that. So the big one I want to do is I want to bring back trick-or-treating in our neighborhood because there's enough people here to be able to do it. I just don't know how to do it just yet. But I'd seen lately a lot of people with strollers, a lot of younger kids. And so that next generation is starting to come up to be of age that we could do something where we can do a trick or treat thing or a trick or trunk or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Trunk or treat. Trunk or treat.
trunk or treat. Yeah. So, and that's my thing because I love Halloween. I'm a big fan of it, and we miss that living here. I remember we're like, oh, we're in a good neighborhood, and our neighborhood and where we lived before was craziest trick or treating I've ever seen in my life. People had mazes in their front yards. Everyone was doing barbecues. It was wild. We ran out of candy in a half hour, and I was like, oh no.
That's intense.
There's nothing else to do in Pendergrass but Halloween. So when we came here, we're like, we're in a neighborhood, we're going to trick or treat. We bought candy, everything else, and we had one kid. And I was like, because no one does it here. And so our goal is I would love to bring something back like that. That's like the event I would like to do. Obviously, we got to do more than one, but start small.
I think starting small is great. What I would encourage you to do is if you're trying to establish a relationship with those families, that maybe you start with last day of school popsicles.
Yep. Oh, that's
Elementary
coming up too.
school, figure out like, hey guys, last day of school, let's have a popsicle party. Figure out gently. You need to make sure to turn the creepy factor down.
Yeah. Have you seen this beard?
like trying to figure out like, hey, where's the bus stop where the most kids are at? Like, would it be fun? Maybe befriend one of the parents. Would it be fun to have a popsicle party? I'm trying to create more community here. Would that be a fun thing for you guys to do at the end for the last day of school? I'll tell you that in my particular neighborhood, I did not start this tradition. I'm just a fly on the wall. I'm just a part of it. But all the kids wait and get off at one bus stop on the last day of school, and the parents are there waiting with super soakers. Completely attack the kids. It's like and the first year it was a surprise, and the second year was still sort of a surprise, and the third year, but now the kids no, and they're in cahoots with the bus driver, and so the bus driver will actually smuggle water guns on the bus to some of the kids, and so it turns into an all-out war. There's hoses that come out, and and it's really, really, really fun, and the whole neighborhood gets involved. And so it's a free activity, but it's an activity that really connects everybody. So it's something that has to build momentum.
Yep.
And so I would say that it's not as important what you do, but that you start to do something.
Yeah. And my thing is, how do you feel about, as I go and I meet these people, I ask them for what they would be interested in doing? Are you have their input in it as well? Like, hey, is there something that you would like to do to help bring this neighborhood together? Is there an event or something that you would be happy to partake in? And give my suggestions to give them on the right track, and then see how they feel about those, and before I actually do one.
Yeah, I think that putting yourself out there first, saying, hey, we're new to the neighborhood, but we really want to bring back that community feel. My wife and I are really dedicated to this neighborhood. We were thinking that we need more activities as a community. Is there anything you'd like to see? And like you said, they probably haven't thought of it yet, so it's going to take them a second. And you could mention something like, we love Halloween. How can we make Halloween more fun in our neighborhood? Any ideas? But ideally, you'd want to do 4 things where you're physically in your community a year.
Yeah.
And so I would say, I love the block party thing that you said. Block party, especially if you can get 2 to 4 people to really commit and maybe bring their grills and have the mains, and then you can have people that are a little more apprehensive, bring waters or bring a side dish or bring a dessert, but have a few people that are really committed in to do that, and figure out where the best places in the neighborhood to kind of do that, maybe where the traffic is slower or dead end or a cul-de-sac street, or even your own yard, right? You could have it on your driveway, that kind of thing. And so try to figure out who's really committed. Find your core people, find your cheerleader. You need to have one person in the neighborhood that really is on your side, and that can be a cheerleader for you, and help other people to see how great you are. So think block party, trick or treating, and then you need 2 more things. Sometimes 4th of July is a great holiday because it's not associated with any kind of religion or
yeah, of course.
Some people are out of town, some people are there, but a lot of times that can be really fun because people really love fireworks and people really love celebrating and cooking out. And so there might be something you could do. That could also be something where I've seen people that put a flag at everybody's house or a flag along the street. So maybe you get a group of people to work with you, right? This isn't just you doing everything for the neighborhood, but it's creating those groups of people.
Yeah, of course.
With people when you're doing this, right? And then New Year's is also a good one. New Year's or Valentine's, so that you're hitting everybody in one of each of the quarters, and you're giving value.
Of course.
Another thing I see people do are dinner parties. It's 100 people are a lot of people to invite to a dinner party, but if you start to get too big, you can make it progressive party or invite other people, or you make it outdoors. And so I think that you have a lot of options. The important part is that you have a physical presence.
Of course.
Yeah. So using your hyper local expertise, relationship building, the lead generation through the flyers and door knocking, and then track your results. Make sure that whatever you do, you're keeping track of it, because sometimes it's really easy to be like, this is not working. And other times you think it's amazing and it's not working. And so
it's not really working. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Feelings will lie to you. So make sure you're tracking your results.
Of course. Yeah. That makes total sense. So that's neighborhood farming in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. Geographic farm. Yeah, that was it. I think we covered everything. Track your results, make sure to give back. One of the coolest things I heard somebody do in a neighborhood that was kind of a little bit more established, the neighborhood has an HOA, and they were trying to do a food truck Friday. But it was becoming hard because the food trucks were like, well, you have to guarantee a certain minimum for me to come out. And like sometimes there were enough people, sometimes there weren't. And so what this real estate agent started doing is say, okay, I'm going to guarantee that these food trucks get their minimum as long as they show up, right? And so she'd make sure that 3 food trucks showed up. And I think they each had around a $500 minimum. So like a $1,500 like guarantee. But then once people start buying stuff, then you're like, you don't have to pay as long as they hit their minimum.
Yeah. As long as you get enough people to attend.
Right. So you're talking about a theoretical amount. And so, something like that is really fun. And she didn't have to cook anything. She said she rarely had to pay anything, a couple $100 here or there, but it wasn't, she never had to pay the full amount because people always showed up, and people were more likely to show up because the food trucks were definitely going to be there. Whereas if you didn't guarantee their money, they may or may not show up, and then, it starts to peter out. And so I think it's not so important as what you do, it's that you do something.
Yeah, of course. They're all cool ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about you for a little bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about me.
Yeah, you're worth talking about, I find.
My favorite subject. No, just kidding.
I think we're both our own favorite subjects. It's perfect. Let's talk about your geographic farming. Sociographic farming.
Sociographic, yeah.
Yeah, not sociopathic. It's different.
But yeah, not psychopathic farming. Yeah, no.
So
I do my school. My son is in elementary school. There's about 700 students. It's, we live in an area, I live in the suburbs of Atlanta. So there are lots and lots and lots of elementary schools. And so really it's probably a half-mile radius, maybe a little bit larger than that, but it's a pretty small geographic area, but it's very hyper local. And so within that school, the crux of what I do is based on being a business partner with my local elementary school. So being a business partner shows that I'm giving back, right? I have to give money and give things in order to be a business partner, number one. Number two, it also gives me access to the entire student body. Right? I can send home flyers. I can make social posts. I can interact with the student body throughout the year. And so that's where kind of the crux of mine is. Over time, so my goal is I send out flyers. So I'm not doing specific mailers with this community. That's one of the big differences. It's a little bit too large. It would probably be about 1,000 homes. And so it's a little too large to do mailers. And so that is why this is not the same as a geographic farm, because I'm not using the mail system. However, I am using the school system, right? And so each quarter, I'm doing a social post through the school. I'm sending out a newsletter or a mailer or some kind of flyer through the school. And then I'm also attending an event, not as Lauren, but as Lauren, the real estate agent, once a quarter. Coming up this spring is our big carnival that our elementary school does. And so we will have a booth at that carnival. Last year, we gave out water bottles and koozies. And everybody came to see us. Because you know why?
Everyone wants a koozie.
No, the water bottle. Everybody wants free water. The line for the food trucks, the line to get a drink was so long. You walk up to me, I hand you a water bottle, right? Like, done. Free water.
I was just thinking, I love a koozie.
You love a good koozie? I got those too. but free water bottles. How much, let's say 500 people. How much does that cost?
I have no idea.
Not much.
$500?
Yeah, no.
Is it $1 of water? I don't know.
No, it's like 25 cents. It's about 25 cents a water bottle, right? And so,
okay.
Like $100. So for $100, I've somehow touched 500 people, right? The koozies did make a difference. Those are a little bit more expensive.
But I assume they're branded for you,
yeah,
right?
they're all branded. I don't think I have one right here. I'll show you. But yep, they're all branded. They're green, and they're.
So the big question is. When your son, I don't want to say his name on the podcast, moves on up to middle school,
he's planning to be on our podcast, just for the record.
Oh, I know. We've talked about it. But I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Morning. Yes, he's very
excited about it. Yeah. But as he moves up to middle school, it actually expands your sociographical thing, because then now you have 3 elementary districts going into one middle school. Is that usually how it goes? Something like that?
Yeah, it's about 2.5, 3. Yeah, that's
so it like triples your size.
Yes, but now it changes also because the business partner sponsorship changes as you go to different schools. And so I found that teachers become a really great group of people for me in middle school. If you go to my middle school, because I have older kids as well, we've already gone through middle school and high school. And so I've actually sold houses to the people in middle school and the teachers in middle school and high school. And they became a really great resource as I was a parent volunteer, and they got to see my work ethic, and we got to have casual conversations about, the market and the neighborhood and what's happening. And so it really put me in a place where I was the expert.
And we all want to be an expert, which is good.
Yeah. Well, and it creates trust and it creates relationship because you're just having conversations. So for this one, my physical events, right? I told you about like the carnival in the fall. We do it's a trunk or treat, and I hand out glow sticks. Actually, I do have one of those, although I don't know if you can see it very well.
You got to turn it off. Yeah. We've seen these.
You can't see it, but it lights up different colors and it flashes and everything. So I have these and I brand them. They have a sticker, and so real estate doesn't have to be scary. And there was a haunted house on it and a QR code, right? And so so I'm providing value. We're in the dark with kids watching the movie, and of course these become swords, and the kids are running around and hitting each other, and they absolutely love it.
I just want to say to all of our viewers that I've seen Lauren several times since she introduced us, and she has not given.
Would you like one?
I'm the biggest kid you know. You just went to my birthday party, and I was right next to a little kid's birthday party. All right. It's the kind of attitude I am,
We'll make this happen.
I am
You
a
will
child.
also be disappointed to know that I also have glow in the dark frisbees, and so that's.
I love frisbee too. Of course I do.
I feel like that would be a natural connection. And so those are the kind of things. The other thing I do is for the school, I have a raffle once a quarter. Also, the raffle helps me because the raffle, everybody gets excited about it. Like I normally go to the father-daughter dance, and I don't have any girls. I'm not a girl mom. And so I will Google like what is trending, what's the current like IG spa headband, or what's the cool thing. And I'll go and buy whatever the coolest thing is, and I will make a basket and I will raffle that off. And so that creates another place where I'm giving value to someone. In return, I'm getting emails, addresses, phone numbers so that I can call them. I also make a magnet. This is really fun. You've probably never seen this either, Jonathan. But this is a magnet. And so this goes on your fridge, right? It's a magnet. It's big. And this is the school calendar. And so the red days are days that we're out of school. And then there's the beginning of the semester. There's teacher work days. So it's the entire school year in a picture. And it has our contact information here. That's our mascot. And then a little key down here for how to.
Is it a ghost? No, it's a bear. The bear doesn't really show up. I can see his muzzle, so it looks kind of like a ghost sitting there. But I get it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are so I try to give value 4 times a year, and then I also sponsor a teacher breakfast as well, so that I get access to the teachers, and I volunteer. My goal is to volunteer every single week at the school doing something. So what that looks like is making copies for a teacher, updating a bulletin board. Last week, I cooked 5 pounds of beef for the Teacher Appreciation Week luncheon.
Okay.
Right.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, folks.
Yeah. So they're little things, right? I'm not saving the world. I'm not heading up everything. I'm just doing little bits so that they know I'm there and they can count on me. Does that make sense? That's
cool. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so that's how I sociographic farm. That's different than like your mailers, but it still has the same purpose and it still needs to meet the same criteria, right?
Yeah.
What's the turnover? Is there a dominant agent in my area? What, tracking my results, making sure to be consistent. The dollar is in the follow-up. Just like what we talked about through all of our lead generation techniques, it's all about how do you follow up with people? Those names, phone numbers, emails, are we contacting them afterwards?
No, it makes complete sense. I do feel like that's the more hands-on this is like makes a more secure bond. Like to me, I hear you talking about this and I'm like, man, you're physically there doing something all the time. To me, that's awesome. Like I want to do that,
Yeah. Well, and and maybe that's something that you can look into. I mean, is there a little league team that you can sponsor? Put your name on the back of the t-shirts, right?
Mhm.
Is there, you're very close to a high school. Is there something with the high school you can do? I can see a lot of crossover there. Did you know that that high school near you has like an auto mechanic shop? It's the only one in Cobb County, but they have an actual automotive program there. And you guys don't know Jonathan like I do, but he's such a car guy. That's
So the thing for me is, because I don't have a kid in the school system, it feels weird. I don't want to be like, this guy doesn't even have kids and he's hanging out at the high school. It's weird.
Well, that's where the business partners sponsorship comes in, right? Now, I will say, in order to get into the elementary school, middle school, or even high school, you do have to do a background check. And
of course.
for us, I mean, I'm assuming it's the same at all levels, but we have to take a little course about, child safety and,
No, that makes sense.
a mandated reporter and that kind of thing. And so, you have to do a couple of things to make sure that you are allowed there. But schools want help, and they really appreciate anything, especially high schools. High schools don't get as much parent involvement. Middle school is the same. Elementary school parents are a little more eager. There's a few more parents more like me in elementary school.
They haven't burned out yet,
Yeah. But there could be a group around you that is really, that you connect with authentically and that you can do. We've talked about different groups, right? Your socio group could be, your bowling team, right? Or even a whole league. Like maybe you sponsor your bowling team.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys all have matching shirts and you sponsor it. Maybe you do adult softball. Same thing.
Yeah.
Teams are really easy to sponsor.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I heard pickleball's coming. I know you're ready.
No,
I know you're ready. We went to dinner with some friends the other day, and they're our age, and they played pickleball for the first time, and they were used to play tennis, and they're in. That's it. That's all I can say. They were so excited that they played it for the first time. Like, we are going to play every weekend. That's their new, like, they did it once and they're hooked. So I haven't played yet. And I played tennis many, many, many years ago, over 20 some years ago. I played tennis a little. So I know I'm not good enough to start tennis now. So I'll take the lazier version. I'm going to try pickleball.
Well, Jonathan, since you are so much older than me right now,
I know
that the younger generation is really about pickleball. But for me, I still love tennis, and so I have an injured shoulder right now, so maybe that could change.
Because she can't handle tennis anymore. It's pickleball time. It's pickleball time.
Yeah, my shoulder is going pickleball.
The racket's smaller, a little bit less pressure,
I think you can hold a drink while you play. I don't know. Have you heard this? You're supposed to, you can hold a drink and play at the same time.
Good. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Actually, I joke, but at the same time, I'm pretty serious. I do want to try it. I want to do something more physical and something the wife and I can do together. I would love to start doing that.
And you guys are so competitive. I would love to see you guys on the court. That would be amazing.
I am pretty competitive.
Well, I would say you both are, and that would make for a very interesting.
Yeah. Well, if we're on the same team, I don't know if that's the thing is, I don't know if we'd be good on the same team.
Moment of honesty.
Yeah. It's like we're both, everywhere we've worked, we're both the bosses, and we manage and handle things so differently. I don't know. It can be fun.
Well, it's kind of like when we hang out, like your wife and my husband gravitate towards each other, and they
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so he's probably just waiting for you to offer pickleball.
Well, he did sprain his pinky last time we played tennis, and so that was
big deal.
18 months ago, and he hasn't made it back onto the court yet. We hope he heals quickly. So
yeah, no, it's a tough one to get over. But he did bowl well. He can bowl, and he seemed like he had fun. So
he did.
I could put him on my bowling league if you want. I would love to build a team. I'm just gonna put it out there. If he wants to, I would love to teach him to bowl.
You're trying to sponsor my husband.
Yeah, no big deal. I think he likes me better as a realtor anyways.
He'd probably use you anyway.
Listen, I gotta build my connections somehow. I'm just gonna slowly take over.
Do it.
Starts with Frank.
Make it happen. make it happen. Yeah, so I guess we should go back over farming.
Oh, well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're farming, pick an area, not too big, not too small. I would say somewhere between, like Jonathan has 100. It's 750 students, but it's really closer to 500 families. So 1 to 500, depending on what your budget is. Budget for 18 to 24 months, right? Really important that you have that already ready to go, because you don't want to waste your money by stopping it. Be the local expert, right? Be the local expert, be helpful, come with information. Do not just ask for things, also give things.
Yes.
Build that relationship, be physical in your community, do things physically. If you're not physically there, you will not receive the same results as when you look online or averages. And be consistent. I don't know. What else did I forget?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not complicated. It's just dedicating yourself to do it. I don't think anything in this industry is complicated. I just think it's easy for people to get frustrated and not see results and give up before the big thing. You're just about to crest that hill and you're like, oh, I'm not seeing results. I'm done. I'm wasting my time. And then they quit before they're able to capitalize on all their effort.
I think of that book that I really like. Jonathan doesn't, but I do. The Compound Effect by Dan.
Well, isn't there a book called The Compound Effect?
Yeah, The Compound Effect. And the cool thing to me is, I said this to myself so many times when I started in real estate. The right activity over the right amount of time produces the right results. And there's an example in the book where he says, I will give you a penny compounded daily over 31 days, or I will give you $1 million today. Which one would you choose? And it's because you're reading the book, better than to choose the $1 million, right?
Yeah.
But it's not until I don't have the book in front of me, I don't have the numbers in front of you, but it's not until day 27 or 28 that penny is finally over $1 million, right? It's like the last few days that it gets to over $1 million, and suddenly it is. And that's how lead generation is. It's going to feel like a penny compounding, and then all of a sudden one day you're going to look around and go, wait, I'm there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where the hard part is, between the first day 1 and day 27. That's where the hard part is. And then after that, it's just managing and feeding it and keeping it going. Right. Yeah. So hang in there. It's almost there.
Yeah, people, hang in there. This real estate thing will come to you. You just got to keep doing it.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. I think that's all. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to our lovely podcast, and tune in next week when we'll talk about real estate.
What?
I know. It's so crazy though how we do this. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but I usually figured out what we're going to talk about like 2 days before we talk about it. And then if I don't have it, I call Lauren and go like, please, something, give me a con thing. There's something we can talk about. I know I don't know everything and we haven't talked about everything and there's so much to talk about, but just narrowing it down is the hard part. So if you happen to have a topic you want us to discuss, leave a comment. We'd love to see what you guys want to learn. Yep. After that, everyone have a fantastic week and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
See you.